and I wouldn't even say like getting your hands dirty as an entrepreneur. I feel like you're growing because now that I've done it and I know what I'm looking for, now I know how to give a little better direction.
Sometimes it's about more than manifesting. You got to do the work. It's not how you start, but how you finish.
Period. Period. Pooh.
How you feeling?
Dang. I feel like who daughter was that? Lil, what was his name? One little girl. She was like, I'm up a tad. Like I feel her right now. I feel her.
You been putting in work?
What? Yes and no.
Okay.
Heavy on the no.
Okay.
A little bit, a little season of the yes.
Nah, I seen some things. It looks like things are going well for you.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Hold on, so bro. I had my first 1K day.
Yeah.
I was lit. I felt a wave. But it's so funny because it's like I didn't really want to share that.
Yeah.
Because.
Well, I mean, I do the editing, so.
No, I'm talking about with just people.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. I do the editing for the episodes, so I could always take it out.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about it yet.
You had your highest sales day.
Yeah, I had
to date.
Yes. I had.
You've had high sales.
I've had
high sales
great
month, but
days.
you had your highest sales.
I experienced my highest one thus far.
Okay.
And it was great, but something that I'm working on is giving myself a little more credit because like it's cool.
Right.
And what are the rest of these orders at? And it don't even be like I'm not grateful for the customers because I'm so grateful for them. But it was like, all right, guys, keep them coming.
Yeah.
Don't stop.
Like I need this high to be higher.
Right? Yes. Like keep them coming.
All right. Well, let me intro this pod so we can get started. Welcome to the Keep It Uplifting podcast, where we discuss lifestyle, fitness, and motivation. I am your host, Uplifting, and I have back with me Rych Auntie. She is in the studio today. Thank you for coming to join me.
I just gotta be extra. Thanks for having me back. I'm excited. Listen, I feel like this is our pod. Like this low key our pod.
This is our pod and everybody else's pod who's listening. Anybody who keeps it uplifting, man, like it's more than just a mantra, but it's something that if you repeat it enough, when you're in silence, like it'll bring you to a focused place. So
it definitely does. Just that word, like it definitely do.
So Q4 is here.
Mm.
I had you here. I want to say a month or two ago.
That was like in August. It was August.
Yeah, you were on your Do Not Disturb cleanse at the time, and you were talking about, celebrating your 1 year and, some of the nuances and new things that you learn and are starting to do in your business. And, we started with what a man and a woman's supposed to do, but
we did.
we'll do another pod on that. But right now, Q4, what's going on as an entrepreneur in the fashion business and in a time where we are in a recession? They don't talk about it, but I mean, everything costs are higher. Inflation is here. People are timid about spending.
Very.
And as we spoke earlier, you've had a great sales day. One of your highest earning sales day. So, how are you persevering through this, and how are you navigating the waters as someone that's in business for yourself?
So I'm gonna come in like piggyback off everything. So I'm still kind of low key on my Do Not Disturb cleanse. My phone is still on Do Not Disturb. And I feel like
for those who haven't listened, could you give them a little bit of background on what that is?
Sure. So I went on a Do Not Disturb cleanse where I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, so no one can get through to me unless I wanted them to, no matter who it was, family, friends, whoever. But since then, I have in fact talked to some more people than initially it was, but I literally like limited people's access to me, which was really really needed because um, probably like one of the first time in my life I actually did nothing, which was needed. And in that cleanse, I feel like it definitely helped me, especially like going into the fourth quarter,
Right.
preparing for that. Like, because typically this is the busiest time heading into the holidays or what have you. So I really needed that time, like for myself, and to really like pour back into me,
Mm,
because that cleanse taught me that I maintained a lot of the relationships that I had, and I'm not doing that anymore.
right. Right.
So because I did that, like
But dig into that a little bit more. When you say you maintain those relationships, what exactly do you mean by that?
literally, like I would be the person that called, text, like, "Oh, what's up, sis?" or "What up, bro?" or
Right.
"Fam," whoever, like,
Right.
"How you doing?" or like, "What's going on, girl? Last time we spoke, whatever." Like, I've always been good with like keeping tabs with people or what have
Mm-hmm.
you, but now I feel like going on that cleanse is like I don't really care to do that anymore.
Right.
Only because when you don't hear from people, like if you don't reach out, you don't hear from them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like totally understanding the fact that everyone have their lives or what have you. But it's like at what point in time you realize it's been 6 months and we normally talk once a month.
Yeah.
Like so
Yeah.
it just kind of like I realized that I was maintaining those like I'm not gonna say unnecessary, but unnecessary like relationships
Right.
on the amount of
Connections with
time that
people.
I was spending.
Yeah.
So I took the time back for
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah. Less distractions.
Yes, very much less distractions. Also just very much less energy.
Right. Right. Right.
Like the time I would be spending
Mm.
texting and following up, I was Netflix and chilling.
Yeah. There's a I can't remember who said it, but it's ROE, return on energy.
Yeah,
So
no, I
there's
was
ROI, return on investment, but there's also return on energy. And
yeah,
that's a
no.
huge thing for people in business
Mhm.
where, what are you what it's the yeah, you may get the money back, but are you really receiving that
Mhm.
energy back from what you're putting out there?
Yeah, definitely. Like and it was definitely nothing personal to anyone, but that's also not my responsibility if they took it personal. But I literally like the last couple of years period, but I felt like I needed this time because it also was part of like my healing journey,
Mhm.
which was definitely needed or whatever. Because at one point in time I realized in that space I ain't like my parents for a little while. Like, I realized like I ain't like them. I love them, but
Right.
for a second
Right.
like, I didn't even want to talk to them. like,
Okay.
like, like, take y'all off. Take y'all off or whatever. But like it's definitely needed. I feel like I needed it as a person and more or less like as I was transitioning to the fourth quarter, I realized even more as an entrepreneur how I needed that cleanse. So it was definitely like needed or what have you. So going into that and then rolling into the fourth quarter, my two favorite words I feel like now like are pivot and improvise. Like, baby, if I reflected one day on how many times I planned something
Mhm.
and it didn't go no way the way I planned. Like I could have been planning to make two lefts and a right. I was doing U-turns. I
Yeah.
was jumping off bridges. Like
Yeah.
nothing was going right. And I realized, and I had to like pat myself on the back for how I was able to still be 10 toes down and literally still pivot
Mhm.
and learn how to just go with the flow and not allow it to like shake me in so many different ways and spaces. Like I remember, so my cousin flew out and she took pictures for me, right? Like even small things like that, you learn to like really appreciate because I took her away from her husband and her kids. So shout out Tiff, I love you, girl. But like doing those things, like we were supposed to do a photo shoot, didn't work out or whatever. And I'm telling her everything that I had planned, and she just like, "How are you staying calm?" Like, and
Right.
I'm like, "Because like, what's the point of being mad or frustrated, putting that energy into it where I can take that energy and be like, all right, well, I got you. So now let me think of some great ideas because I have you here with me. So I'm
Right.
not gonna waste that time with you being here with me complaining. Like, no. All right, you here. All right, so now let me figure out a different way that I want to do this, or let me do this, or let me do that. So it just was like literally pivot and improvise are my words.
Mm. So she flew out. Let
Mm.
me just gather this story for myself. She flew out, and there was some photos that were supposed to be taking place,
Yep.
and then she ended up as the photographer.
No, no, no. I was the photographer.
Oh, you. Oh.
So it was supposed to be myself, her, and someone else that was going to do it
Oh,
with us,
okay.
and it just ended up
And
not
it didn't
working
work.
out right. So,
Wow.
so I literally just was like,
But you weren't originally supposed to be the photographer.
no, I wasn't.
Wow. So wearing many hats in business
What? All of
is
them?
right. But I mean, when the last time you went to a photography class, or you right, like
Like never.
you just got the
YouTube.
you just got the exactly. So I think that's a big thing to highlight is you did improvise, you did pivot, but the pivot and improvisation was you. You didn't say, let me go and find somebody else, spare the moment. You said, sometimes I'm just going to have to still get my hands dirty early
Doing
in
it.
my business and just make it happen if I want it to happen for
Happen.
me.
Exactly. Like, and then not only that, I feel like in those spaces too, like the people that I do have that are resourceful became resourceful. Like
Right.
my best friend husband, he's a photographer. So I called him, like, he knows the camera that I have. Like, all right, so I want to get this, like, I'm gonna send you something. Tell me, like, give me direction on, am I editing right, or like what apps I need to use. So like him giving me that, and then and I wouldn't even say like getting your hands dirty as an entrepreneur. I feel like you're growing
Mm.
because now that I've done it and I know what I'm looking for, now I know how to give a little better direction to the photographer when it
Right.
happens.
Right.
Like, okay, listen, when you do it from this angle, I want to make sure I have this amount of light. I want to make sure that this happens, or this. Like, I want you to make sure you catch them in motion. Like,
Mm.
just to be able to give those directions, because now I've done it.
Mm.
I know what I like. I know what I don't
I didn't know
like.
I had to bring my pen and paper to this one.
Shut up.
No. For real, I didn't know.
Yeah, but like it's literally like when you do it, you now have like
Right.
the
Right.
experience,
Right.
and you've learned, because now I'm editing these pictures. Like now I'm like, okay, all right, this look right. No, this don't look right. I need this much more light.
And
Like,
that's something I feel like that's something very important to just point out in general is that yes, you need to grow, but you also need to be able to grow inside your business as well. You know, like
definitely.
self growth is great, but growing through your business is even greater because, like you said, now something that you had to do on the fly is going to pay you back tenfold
Yep.
in the future just because you have a new outlook on how you want things to look as far as going forward with the lighting.
Angles, the like how I want to capture the actual like merchandise itself, like
Yeah, yeah.
being conscious more of like
I knew I should have brought
filters.
pen and paper to this. No, but that's
But
that's
like
cool. I never thought about that.
because those are some of like the small details that I feel like sometimes we don't pay attention to. So like because I've been doing like small updates or what have you, I've been reaching out to people that I know and people that I don't know that have been on my site, and I'm asking like, hey, how was your experience, like, because I know from where I started to where I'm at, baby,
Right,
like I'm
right,
so
right,
proud of my growth.
right.
But just looking at like the pictures and the quality of the pictures, and like I'm so grateful for having like really good people like in my circle.
Mhm.
I have a girlfriend, she's been manifesting my life for me for a couple years now. She called me
Yeah.
big time, like I'm here for it. And I asked her recently, like, what's your experience? Like, what do you think about the site? She was like, the fact that you have like professional pictures of yourself, like it speaks value. She was like, it looks so professional.
Right.
Like
You don't
she,
got the cat in the back
no,
of your
no,
photos
I don't
or
got
your
the cat
baby arm
eyes.
grabbing your
No,
calf or something like that.
no, not even that. And then the fact that she also liked the fact that I had pictures out,
Right.
like
Like you
doing things, like so you can actually see what that looks like. and she was like, I really, appreciate that. Not her, but other people have given me that feedback. But just knowing that those little things actually matter, uh, I'm like, okay, this makes a big difference. Like, and really just kind of taking it in, and not being afraid to ask for it either.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you don't like something, I'm okay with that, right? Like you telling me like, no sis, that looks busy, and it's like, okay, cool. I appreciate that, because if you feel that way, who else feels that way?
Mm.
And ultimately, this is not for me, this is for you.
Right.
So if you don't like it, I need to know so I can and fix it. Like,
Mm.
you're not going to hurt my feelings because you're spending money. So whatever you
Yeah.
say, I'm listening
But
to.
I like the market research that you're doing, whether it's it's a limited amount of people or not. You pointed out that you're reaching out to people you're familiar with and people you don't know. Like, hey,
Mhm.
what made you stop shopping here, or what did you like? You're opening yourself up for criticism that you may or may not get. Like
Right.
here we be posting stuff sometimes and we're just like comment, comment, comment. And the fact that you are having people come to your site, which is what, richauntieVibes.com,
Yes.
that, people, and you're able to collect that data from the people who are, purchasing things from you.
Right.
And then you're taking advantage of that data. You
Definitely.
handing out a lot of gems here. I don't know who's listening, but if
Yes.
if you want to start anything, I think just having the consumer of your content,
Mhm.
of your brand, of your merchandise, whatever it may be, in mind is huge.
It is. And even with that, like I would make like two notes to get in like that constructive like feedback and criticism. Like not you grabbing a pen. Like two notes is like, be mindful who you ask, right? Because of the fact that of who you're
Know your
asking,
audience, right?
right? Because they're gonna, depending on who the person is, they're gonna have their personal biases possibly towards you, right? Like that's something I wish people would really learn, how to separate the entrepreneur from the person,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because even though you're intertwined, you're still different. Like it's still very much separate. Be very mindful of that, again, of the audience, but then also be very mindful of just like negative people, right? Or people that's just going to have something to say.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, I go from size small to 3X, but majority of the things I have are small to like maybe 1X or extra large. And I've had like, my more to love women, I've had several, this happened several times. Like they were like, get more of this, that, and the
Right.
other.
Right.
And it's like, okay, I don't have a problem with that, but since you're up here, you're not buying anything.
True.
Like,
True. True.
so you're asking me to get more of something and you're not even purchasing it. So
Yeah.
like how does that make sense? Like now I'm all for like, hey, maybe can you get, because it's in a small to a large, hey, maybe can you offer this in larger sizes, or something. Like something I learned about myself in my cleanse is I do not like people that complain without any type of like solution.
Mm-hmm.
Like understanding the difference between venting and complaining. Like we all want to get stuff off our chest. Like vent, okay? But you continuously venting now turns into complaining, because now you're not trying to do anything about it. Now you just want to, like, I tell my brother all this all the time. If you keep talking about it, you are just making it worse on yourself, because you're continuously reliving that moment.
Right.
Why?
Right.
Like why? Like, okay, you I have a theory, right? I call it AAA. Like when you go through things, like you acknowledge, accept, and apply it, right? Like
Mm.
I feel like it's people, we live in the acknowledging it, right? Like
Acknowledge.
accept and apply,
Okay.
right? We live in the fact that like, okay, it's happening,
Right.
like and even with that, in a sense, like you acknowledging it doesn't mean you are fully like accepting it. Understand that there's a difference. Like you accepting something does not mean you agree with it. You just accepting the fact that this is the reality of it.
Mm.
And whatever it is, either you're going to learn from it, grow from it, you don't like it, whatever, but whatever you get, whatever happens in that moment, apply it and move forward. Like
Mm.
just like a car, your flat, your tire go flat. Where does AAA come? They acknowledge the fact that your tire is it. They accept it. They move it on. They change your tire,
Mm-hmm.
and guess what? you just drove off.
Mm.
Like AAA,
Right, right, right.
your situations, your emotions. By no means am I not saying like dismiss them. No, like
Right.
because if not, you're gonna literally go through a shitload of times where
Mm.
like you're gonna literally be like, you never allow those motions to pass through. So when they come, and I've experienced this, like you let things roll off your shoulder, you don't realize like the buildup
Right.
that it can potentially cause, and the next thing you know, it's just like they all hit you at once. You like, wait a minute, when did this happen?
So when you were talking about the sizes, and it connected with me because I go on my people's sites and it's hard to get up to a 2X. And I remember it was a guy that I follow, Beast Mode Jones, where he was like, "Look, I'm not going because he's a fitness guy.
Mm.
He's like, I'm not going to keep stocking these 3Xs and 4Xs. He's like, y'all need to lose some damn weight." But he's a
fitness guy, that
trainer
makes
too,
sense.
so that was even the funnier part. But like when I go on, I be trying to support people that I know, and it's like, oh, y'all ain't got no 2X. But at the same time, why would I stock this one thing for you, which I am going to buy?
Right.
But it's like I need to order things that are beneficial to
Right.
the company as well, and people gotta be realistic about how they look too, right? Because you were talking about, I can't remember when we were discussing this,
Oh
but
yes. So,
but what were you saying? You were talking about the mirror, and I don't
right.
remember exactly what you said there.
So I said this is gonna be my TED talk, and it's gonna be called "What's Staring Back at You in the Mirror."
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So like, okay, say for instance, right, this young woman that asked me to get larger sizes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Say for instance, she now says before where she probably, well, I would have personally suggested a 3X. She said no, she could fit a 1X.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually had a friend tell me one time that I offended them because of a similar situation where I told them that they wouldn't be able to fit a certain size, and we had a conversation, whatever, and went past it. And then one day, like I don't know why, but I just was reflecting on it, and I thought like, wait a minute,
What is she saying?
if she sees herself as a certain size,
Right.
what I should see myself
Right.
as? Like, am I looking at myself the wrong way?
Right.
Like,
Right.
and it was also, now granted there was other factors and variables that played into the part as to why she felt this way, and not even just her, because there's other people. As a boutique owner, I realized that like I stopped, like unless they ask, I stopped suggesting sizes, right? Because of the fact that like what you see in the mirror versus
Right.
what's reflecting back at me are going to be two totally different things. When we look in the mirror, we perceive ourselves as our most ideal self, as what we want, right? But we also don't look at it in a space of gratitude. When we look in the mirror, we look in a space of lack or lack thereof,
Mm-hmm.
versus what's staring back at us is our reality. Like, for instance, I have a girlfriend that's like, she doesn't have like hips and stuff, right? Like,
Yeah.
so she be like, girl, it look good on you. It ain't gonna look that way on me. And I'm like, but sis, you got legs and your stomach is flat.
Right.
I was like, do you realize like that's how we are as people? Like, we look in the mirror at what we're missing,
right. We
rather
just
than what's
see the
staring,
flaws.
rather than what's staring back at you is everything you have an abundance of. Like, and then like, and I appreciate her also for like helping me like really kind of figure this thing out, coming full circle. Like, I had to do that. Like, I heard this thing on social media, and now it's become of my part of my daily routine. Every day I get up and I look in the mirror and I find 5 things to be grateful about. It doesn't have to be my physical physique. It could be anything. And I always, she said 5 things you're grateful about, and a win.
So you
Right.
be in the mirror telling yourself, mirror, mirror,
on the wall.
Who's the finest?
Who's the best auntie of them all? Right. So, but it's a place where, because for someone like me, like I really, and I tell you this, I battle with like giving myself enough credit because I try to stay humble, even though I can talk my you know. But
Okay. Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
but I try to remain as humble as possible, whatever. But we was talking, and I was telling her about this journey that I went on of finding ways to be more appreciative of myself,
Mm-hmm.
right, in a sense, and giving myself more credit. And I was telling her, I was like, when you look in the mirror, I was like, I even though I've known this for a while, but it just kind of came full circle. It was like, I'm not. Hey, listen, when God was handing out attributes, I spent the block on booty and hips. But I think I was in the crab leg line when he was handing out the upper body part. So I was just like, I'm like, girl, I know I'm not like, to me personally, like, I know there are certain tops. Like, I'm not about to wear no plunge
Right.
and it look
I
like
have no idea what that is.
a deep plunge shirt, right? Where you have cleavage and stuff like
Oh,
that.
that's
Just,
what. Okay.
yeah, that's what that is.
Okay.
And like, I know I'm not a busty woman. So I know, because I'm not a busty woman,
Oh,
I
got you.
know
Got
there's
you.
certain tops that I'm not going to feel
Right.
comfortable
Right.
in, right? Like,
Right.
because it's still, what you wear. And that's why I always say, being rich doesn't mean always just financially. Is being able to exude certain things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your outfit is going to help exude your confidence. So if you're going to be like, feel like you got to always check and adjust, like, then you don't feel comfortable.
Right.
You're not confident in it. So like, certain things I know I'm not going to wear because I know I'm self-conscious about certain things. Like, even though I know I'm good, it's just certain things like I don't feel comfortable in. So I'm telling her, like, I'm going to dress my attributes and not my flaws.
Right. Right. Right.
Like, when you dress your attributes, like, you gonna feel great.
Right.
Cause it's like, if you like, I have another girlfriend. I always tell her legs are like, girl, you better wear them short
Right.
shorts.
Right.
Like,
Right.
show them legs. Like, if I know that I got them bomb tall, like, model legs,
Right.
I'm
Dress
gonna
for
let them.
success.
I'm gonna let them feel like
Yeah.
I'm in
Yeah.
one of them Gillette. Like, but because you know that that's something you feel good about, and as long as you feel good about it, it's going to exude. It's
Right.
going to just,
Right.
it's going to walk in the room before you do. So I'm telling her, like, dress for the things that make you feel confident. Like, dress your attributes, and
Mm-hmm.
rather than trying to address your flaws, because your attributes are going to outweigh your flaws once you get in the mirror and you realize, like,
Right.
baby, these legs is legging today.
Right.
Like,
Right. Right.
so it's just like, and all of that is just, I realized we never look in the mirror with gratitude.
Mm.
We always look in the mirror looking for what's missing rather than what's staring back. Is an abundance of things. Like, so every day, 5 things you're grateful for. Like,
Yeah.
and again, it doesn't have to be your physical, but if you're feeling foxy that day, baby, talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, if not, if you feel like, I'm just grateful to be here.
I just remember. I'm thinking of Cameron when he was talking about him looking in the mirror and talking to himself for 15 to 30 minutes every day. And he said it's kind of weird because his man said, I guess, came into his room
One day,
and he was in there talking. He was like, yo,
what are you doing?
what was going on in there? He was like, I was talking to myself. He's like, I do that every day, B, before I leave out the house. So,
Yes.
so it is powerful to have those type of affirmations, positive affirmations for yourself every day, daily. Some people just get up and get it done. Whatever works for you.
Yeah.
But when you do take that look in the mirror, definitely look at yourself with some form of gratitude. I totally agree. But I wanted to switch to a question I have is when is Rich Auntie going to have something for the wealthy uncles? Uh,
So, I
and
feel like
I say that because I've had you on the show,
Mm.
the podcast for a couple of episodes, and we do have some gentlemen that listen to this. It's nothing but men that pretty much listen to this. So holidays coming up, if you want to get your lady something, richauntieVibes.com. She has sales. She has great things going on. There's some jackets on there that are selling out fast. So
Ooh,
be sure
yes.
to look for that as well. But when you gonna get something for the rich, I could wear it on the, on the pod, or
You right.
I
You
could
right.
represent, get me a little affiliate link or something,
So, definitely.
you know.
That sounds real great to me. So I'm gonna tell you, like I had told the lady, you bring some people, right?
Right,
Right. You
right.
bring them on over, and I show them what I can get them, and we could get some things moving.
Okay,
So
okay.
I've already my little brother kind of already convinced me, like, like, Mo, get some stuff, like, so I can wear, like, I
Right,
want to
right.
be able to wear your stuff. And I'm like, I have no problem with branching off into the men's wear,
Mhm.
but I just know that I don't have that audience,
So
right?
it's coming soon.
It's definitely it's in the works, it's in the making,
But the audience has to be
right? Like
the
it got to make sense,
right, right. The request.
right?
You have to have more people that need it
Then the
than
idea,
just me and
right? And brother, like both my bros is like, yo, what's up, sis? And it's just like, I'm here for y'all,
right,
but
right,
what
right,
about the rest of them?
right, right.
Because in the merchandising world, like it's very different. Like you do have different vendors where you can like purchase things individually. Like that's a whole nother topic.
Well, how
But
would you compare your stuff to, let's say, a Shein or a Fashion Over? Like how would you compare your stuff quality, and then two, how would you uh compete? How do you compete with them? How is it? And do you even think of them as competitors for yourself?
so I do in fact think of them as competitors. Shein, not so much. More times than none, I feel like um, their quality isn't always the best. Now, granted, I used to shop up there, but I don't shop up there as much as I used to. But I always hear people say like sometimes it's kind of like a hit and miss. And because my brand is continuously like growing, that is something I stay on top of. Like
QC.
I do not put anything out there that I feel like anybody can talk about per se, right? Like if anything is wrong with like the stitching or anything, like that is something I'm really really like meticulous about, like making sure that I'm giving out good quality things.
Right.
Um and then in regards to like Fashion Nova, um I look at them as a competitor, but then I also don't, because look how big they are compared to I am.
Right.
So whereas they can afford to sell something for $30, well, I may have to sell it for 40.
Okay. Okay.
Because they can buy in bulk, or which if they can buy in bulk, they can actually their margins could be different from
Right.
mine.
Right.
So
Right.
what
Right.
have you? So yes, I do look at them as competitors because I'm going to be bigger than them, speaking it into existence.
Right.
But outside of that, like if anything, I typically sometimes even like go and look and see what people are saying, right?
Mhm.
Like I'm good for reading comments, right?
Mhm.
Um, like, and I see like a lot of times they say like the customer service and things like that. So for me as an entrepreneur in a customer driven world, I try to make sure that where other people lack, I succeed.
Mm.
So I try to make sure that, hey, if customer service is the issue, I try to make sure I'm on top of like responding to emails. Like even my Shopify has an inbox that comes straight to my phone. So if you're online shopping and you need something, like it's gonna come straight to my phone if you have a question.
Right.
My alerts come up for my DMs. Not granted, it is social media, so sometimes it may not be, but for the most part, it does. And I'm really good at. I pride myself on trying to ensure, I'm very responsive. Like this is the time of year. I actually just had a customer. Somebody stole her package.
Oh wow.
Like it's crazy. Yes, but that's why I have a service on my website, because as a small business I can't afford to allow these other people to steal packages and then I'm replacing it. But with the service I have, all I have to do is say, okay, you want the same things, reship it. I don't have she doesn't have to worry about her repaying me or
Right.
me waiting for
Right.
the claim. I'm resending it. I'm getting the claim handled on the back end,
Right. So
just to make sure that the customer experience is effortless. Like, hey, what do you need? What you got? Like trying to be ensure that as much as we have social media for like marketing, word of mouth is always going to be like
right.
top notch.
So your value add is a lot bigger because it is you,
Mm-hmm.
and you are a face. You are approachable. You can be reached. You have these notifications. You have this insurance and things in place that will benefit the customer in different places.
Yes. I read a book a couple years ago, and it was talking about like the effortless experience, and that
Mm.
stuck with me. Just ensuring like even something as simple as um the amount of clicks that it takes to get to something, right? Like, just think about how many times we get mad when we press 0 and we can't never get to a customer service rep. Like, like just thinking about those small things, and literally, my background in being a scrum master, learning how to like shift hats is definitely like an attribute, because when it comes to those things like that, like, I'm a customer.
Right.
So it's like, how would I feel if this happened, right? Like, I would be irritated. So how can I make sure that, now granted, everything is not going to be foolproof, because things are just going to happen and you can't solve for everything, but anything that you can foresee and you can try to get ahead of it, like, that is my ultimate goal, to ensure that like I'm staying on top of it, making sure like anything that, again, that I can foresee, and make it to where you're literally coming up there and you're on the site and you're just browsing and you're finding what you want and there's no problems. Like, the website is not slow, the pitch is not loading, or there's no pictures. Like, no, there's something for everything. The details are in there. I try to be very descriptive when I put the details in there. Let people know, like, I repair pants up there, they have no stretch. So all my curvy girls, when you see that, I put very structured and I capitalize and bold it, like, little to no. So then that way, when you're those thoughts that come to your mind, like, dang, I wonder if I could fit that, because I know she's smaller, she's bigger, or whatever. So just thinking, and when I put that up, I put myself in their shoes.
Well, I think we've given my audience a lot. I know I have a page full of notes here. One last thing I would like for you to end the show with is just words of encouragement for someone who is just struggling. Maybe they're struggling in their business. Maybe they're just struggling to get through these tough times. Like we talked about the recession and how things are getting expensive, or they're struggling at work, or they're struggling just with anything. What would you give? What words of positivity or strength you would give to that person?
I would say faith, right? Like, faith. Well, my favorite scripture, the 3 words that are in it, is faith, hope, and love. Like, as long as you have those 3 things in life, there's nothing that you can't overcome or get through. Love for me is the backbone to anything you do, alongside of yourself, right? Like, make sure you love yourself, and make sure anything you do is the foundation of it, because otherwise it's going to get dead and get dead quick. Faith, because that's going to help your belief when all things get gray, because it's going to get gray. Like, but that's the beauty of it. You never see the outside while you're in the midst of the storm, but you just got to know, and that's why you stay hopeful, right? Because as long as you have your faith and your hope, you know that there is an end. Just be mindful and take a pause sometimes, and just like, what am I supposed to learn, or what am I supposed to gain? It's as hard as it may be. Sometimes in those moments, you really have to kind of like press pause and like, what am I supposed to be learning in this space as you're going through it? And as long as you have those 3 things, like, I truly, truly believe in my heart of all hearts, like, there's nothing that you can't overcome and get through. And if you can, find a really good support system.
There it is. Keep going, keep grinding, and keep it uplifting. Yeah.
Make sure to like, comment, share, and most importantly, keep it uplifting.
Take it up, listen.